Rule number 5, use big turn probe sizing. In most of the spots where you're probing the turn, you may be asking, how the hell do we end up probing the turn with pocket 6s on King Jack 5? Good question. This hand would be a pure check if it goes check check here and the turn is not a 6. Therefore, you can infer, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, that the turn was in fact a 6 in this hand, or we would not be probing it with this showdown value hand, would we? No, that's right, we wouldn't. But what happens here is that when it goes check check, I think we're timing out because like something happened on another table. Yeah, probably. I wasn't really in the tank about whether to lead 6s. I wasn't like, oh my god, should I lead 6s? Like staring at my opponent, like riffling my chips like an absolute idiot. Don't you hate it when you're watching like poker on TV and some bad player is like taking some stupid no-brainer spot uber seriously and then like commits a big polarization mistake by like donk betting? Don't you just hate it when that happens? No? Is that just me? We have turned a 6, as you can imagine, and what happens when the flop goes check check is that your opponent has forfeited their nut advantage. They have lost nut advantage to a significant extent because we can infer that king queen, ace king, king jack, pocket 5s, etc. are all betting the flop at nearly 100% frequency. We can also infer that villain has quite a lot of showdown value stuff. They may also be betting their low showdown value draws and backdoors and stuff like that at quite a high frequency as well. So their range is condensing, it's moving towards the middle. That doesn't mean that their range has terrible equity now. Like if you look this up in a solver, the solver will tell you that you're still at a disadvantage in terms of range advantage. That's in terms of equity. We talk about all of this in the Carrot Poker School, of course. This is actually grade 2 lecture 1, polarizing and condensing. If you want to check out what it's about, by the way, you can see the first 5 minutes for free. Just on Carrot Corner, we give you previews of all videos to try to entice you to spend your money. We're really clever that way. But yeah, we are in a spot where we have a nut advantage, but not necessarily a range advantage. And the way you play that spot in GTO proper is that you bet really quite infrequently, but for a giant sizing that facilitates huge pot growth, exponential pot growth when you do bet. And that's normal. And in reality, that's fine as well, because what you should really be doing here is building your betting range around a set or 2 pair or a good king, and checking everything else, and then bluffing sometimes with the big sizing as well. The flush card comes on the river. That's not really the point of the hand. You still have a value bet here. Your opponent's going to usually bet the flop with a flush draw. In real life, humans are very bad at checking a flush draw on the flop. They will have about a third as often a flush draw as they should in theory or something like that. And so this is still worth a lot of EV here. You could maybe even go pot here or something. I don't think we want to overbet anymore on this card because even though villain doesn't have a flush that often, you're still going to shift your equity when called down a bit here by overbetting. You're going to struggle. Not that you'll be dead when called. My students really bug me when they say stuff like, oh yeah, if we overbet, we're only getting called by a better. It's like, no. No, that's too extreme. That's way too far. You're exaggerating. Chill out. It's not that you're only getting called by a better. What an absurd thing to say. But the truth is that if you overbet here, you might only be like a 53% equity favorite when called, or 56% or something like that. And that's not very good. Whereas if we bet this size and get called, we might be like a 75% favorite. So it is going to contract villain's range a fair bit here, the difference between 23 and 33, because one is an overbet and one is a normal sizing that villain's more used to facing. There won't be a big difference between 23 and 27 though, and that's why I think we could go closer to pot, but I'd avoid the overbet sort of bracket of sizing in this spot. We get looked up by ace jack. Happy days. Okay, rule number 6, do not fold versus small recreational sizing in any spot ever when you have showdown value, basically. You follow that rule, it'll probably stand you in good stead like 90%, 95% of the time. So we face a donk bet here on 997 rainbow. We have pocket queens. I would say that this range is extremely mergy. Probably kind of showdown or equity driven. So gut shot, 7x, pocket pair. Something that like wants to bet in case I have 2 overcards is very often going to be what villain has here. And then the snap click back. So when you look at this, it's important to distinguish what is like a fish clicking buttons, right? What's someone just like clicking a button, and what is someone actually building a thought out 3-bet range. Because if you looked at like a 3-bet range here in a solver for donking and then 3-betting, it would be mostly trips and bluffs. So it'd be things like 9, like queen 9, jack 9, king 9, and it would be stuff like jack 8 suited and stuff like that, right? That would be the main gist of it, 5, 6 or something. But in real life, it's nothing like that. It's not polarized like that. But I hear people in my Discord group post hands like this and be like, villain's action is highly polarizing. It's like, no, it's not. In theory, it's highly polarizing. But in real life, this could just be like 10s that didn't 3-bet pre for some weird reason. It could be 8s, it could be 7x. It could be a guy just going, I don't believe you and I'm going to raise without thinking about what my hand is. I induced you to do this, so now I'm going to raise. It can be all kinds of weird and wonderful thought processes, so don't fold. Don't level yourself into some like terrified fold here. You're getting like 5,000 to 1 peel. See what happens. Poker players love to say, so I called here to reevaluate. No, you call here because you're getting amazing pot odds and you're still doing well overall. You will reevaluate, but that's not why you call. That's a silly reason to call. If you find yourself saying call to reevaluate, don't do that. It's bad. Okay, 13 bigs. Again, small, silly sizing. At this point, I do have some concern that my opponent can have a 9 and just be playing it super weird. But after the river check, I wonder if I should have gone for value here. I think I probably should have. I was in some kind of mode where I was like, see, like, I even did this myself. I was like, well, he's polarized by 3-betting the flop and betting the turn, but the sizing's so small. I really do wonder if, like, the 9x now that's played this way is just never betting that tiny on the turn and never checking river. Or it's certainly never doing both of those things. So I wonder if I can just, like, put villain on a range of mostly, like, 6-5 and 7-6 and 7-8 and actually just go ahead and bet the river like 38 big blinds. I probably should have. I don't actually like this check. This check is kind of bad. I'm surprised at myself for checking so quickly. Yeah, 10-7. Yeah, I really feel like I should have been way greedier here. I just don't think a 9 really does this. Kind of a brain dead check by me. That's really bad. That's really sloppy. I just spent a bunch of time arguing about why this is actually really rarely a 9. And then in game, my subconscious has been stuck in some mode of like, oh, he's too polar. So it's so easy done, right? Like even there, like I've made a mistake there, even though I know this concept so well. But it just shows you your in-game play and your out-of-game reasoning can be so different. Man, I left a lot of money on the table there, actually. Really surprised I checked that river. I didn't remember checking that river. Man, bizarre. Okay, anyway, moving swiftly on from that disaster.